I'm so thankful that you're doing this program. I hope that you're able to find community and resources and support, not only to have a powerful experience in this program, but to build a life in this work, to find home, belonging, to make meaning, to develop a healthy sense of self and relationship to the misery and injustice in this world. White supremacy is fundamentally a death culture not only in communities of color, but a death culture that turns the hearts and souls of white children and white people into what James Baldwin called moral monsters. White supremacy is fundamentally a divide and control strategy developed on the slave plantations of the Americas to divide indentured European servants from enslaved Africans and indigenous peoples, because people came together. People formed families, people fell in love, people formed friendships, and when people formed friendships and love and built community and family, they would also rise up together because they knew that the slave system was a monstrosity. They knew that something better was possible. The working class and poor people of the world have over and over and over again advanced a more democratic society, a more just, a more humane, a more dignified society for all people. And that is true in the United States. White supremacy was an intentional strategy of giving advantages to some, extreme punishment and violence for others, to divide people, to divide in particular white working class communities from communities of color. I grew up in a mostly white working class family and community, and I saw the ways that racism were fed to my family, the ways that the economic indignities of low-paying jobs, of unions being destroyed, of good-paying jobs being shipped overseas, where labor laws were destroyed, environmental protections were destroyed overseas to be able to have corporations exploit workers there while also exploiting workers even more here in the United States. I saw the ways that racism was told to people in my family. It's not the rich, it's not the right wing that are gutting tax policy and making it so that the corporations don't have to pay taxes while our public schools and our public infrastructure are crumbling. It's black women on welfare. It's gay people. It's feminists. Those are the people that are destroying society. Does that all sound familiar? It's a long-term strategy to accumulate wealth and power at the top while dividing the vast majority of us from each other. We're in this course, yes, because we want to personally become more anti-racist, but we are fundamentally in this course because we know that a multiracial democratic society is possible. We know that a society based on peace and cooperation, not violence and exploitation, is possible. We know that our babies and our elders deserve and can have a better society, both in the future, but also now. That communities of color are at the brunt end of the violence of white supremacy, but the poisonous lies that are fed to white children and white families about communities of color, about ourselves as white people, about who we are, that our culture is meaningless and dead, that our lives and our privileges come at the expense of others, and that we have to fear and resent others when they strive for civil rights, for human rights, as coming after me and mine. So this course is fundamentally about fortifying our hearts and souls so that we can be in the deep work of overcoming these historic and current day divisions, so that we can come together in powerful ways for economic justice, for racial justice, for gender justice. So I invite you in this work for anti-racism, in this work for racial justice, to connect your heart to those you love in your family and your community, to connect your heart and your soul to your values, the values of human dignity and decency, of everyone being able to have access to healthcare and housing and meaningful employment, the values we have of all of our communities being able to thrive, all of our babies and our elders being able to have the dignity, the resources, the democracy, and the economic justice to thrive. This is a course that connects us to our hearts, to those that we love, to the world that we want to live in. with a systemic analysis of what has actively worked to prevent us from being able to come together and build the popular justice movements to win more and more democracy, more and more dignity, more and more justice. White supremacy is a lie. White supremacy is a devastating strategy that negatively hurts white communities and communities of color. Because when white supremacy is at play in white communities, it means that white communities are being told it's not those with power that are destroying our democracy, that are destroying our basic human rights. It's communities of color. To fear and to hate and resent. This is a course about building our power to be able to come together for our communities, for our families, for our values, and to be able to join in the multiracial democratic struggle of those who have come before us, to join in that work, to continue to advance justice, economic, racial, gender, social, environmental justice for all. So I invite you to connect to your heart, to connect to your soul, and join with others to find home and belonging in this work to fundamentally all get free from the nightmare of white supremacy.